Welcome back to the Good Dude, Good Dad podcast. My name's Jordan, and I just pissed off.
Am I allowed to talk now?
Yeah, you can talk now. I took it off mute
Sorry.
afterwards.
I wasn't allowed to talk. Jordan muted me because he said I talked too much.
No, we've needed that audio for a while, but usually talk during it. It's
Whatever.
recording.
Anyways, I'm Ben, and we have a very special guest today. I'm doing the intros from now on because Jordan...
The Ariavi incident of 2005 or 25.
It's his stroke, don't worry. So today's guest is a longtime friend of mine, Alberto Banuelos. Did I say it right?
You said it perfectly.
Ooh.
Bro, even the flexion, too.
Yes.
He is, one, a really rad dude, but two, owns a company here in Orange County in LA called Burritos La Palma. He's the founder of the United States. His family started it in Mexico a long time ago. But I had the pleasure of getting to meet you in 2016.
Yes.
16. And it's been really, really cool. And getting to just kind of be in the setting and hang out and talk. Alberto's somebody that I genuinely, truly think brings a lot of value to any conversation he's a part of, whether it's a business or honestly just being like a good human. There's so many things that you can say to that. But when I met him, he was just starting Burritos La Palma here. And today, if you look him up, if you don't know what it is, he is a very humble man. But two, bro, you have created something that is so crazy in like the best way possible.
Thank you.
And I'm envious sometimes because I've wanted to work with the guy forever, but he said I'm not good enough. So it's been like a really weird
It's so bad.
struggle. But man, thank you for coming today. I know you're super busy. It was literally last minute, and he's a homie and showed up. But we're gonna just kind of jump into it. So as much as you would like to, you can go as far back as you would like, or as little as you would like. But we would like you to just tell the listeners like who you are and where you came from and how you got to where you're at, and we'll kind of just get into it.
Perfect. Thank you. Hey, thank you, gentlemen, for having me. I really appreciate it. It's an honor. The Good Dude, Good Dad, such a great concept. I love it. This message has to be out. It's well overdue. So hopefully I don't ruin your show.
You will not.
Never.
I'm 58 years old, so we're going to go way back, right, when things were not as politically correct as they are now. Yeah. But it was important for me. It made me the dad that I believe I am.
Yeah.
They'll have to ask my kids. But yeah. So when I was born here in the States, and we living a normal life. And at the age of 13, my parents ended up realizing their dream of being able to amass set amount and then move back to Mexico. So at 13, I moved to Mexico. I grew up there, very different than growing up in the States. So I think that's important to mention, because that made me the man I am now, the dude I became, and hopefully the good dad that I strive to be. But yeah, so the role models there, very different than the ones you would find here. And then, if you fast forward to today's generation, it's very different than the way I grew up. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a better or worse way to do it. I think you have to adapt with the times. But yeah, the fact that I was here living a certain life and then to abruptly move, I never noticed a change. I never knew if I was good or bad, rich or poor, until someone, kept reminding me. But I just lived my life and I was happy for it. But having the grandparents that were actually born in the late 1800s,
Dang.
Having been young men during the Mexican Revolution, it really made them the whole, not the macho, but the very specific gender roles that existed. Today, that's a different topic. But back then, it was very clear what you did and what you didn't do. And those men raised me along with my father. It takes a village to raise a child. I like that. I think that I took the good, which was very hard, very difficult, and I tried to adapt it to now here in the States. I came back when I was 21, and I stayed in America at 22, and I made my life. And the joke about ruining your show is that hopefully I could bring to the table a dad and a divorced dad, because I am, I was previously married, and I have a child from my previous marriage, and that man is an amazing son, right? So a couple of things I'll talk about. They will be they'll pertain to raising a child from a divorced man, and then raising my other two boys as a married, actual man. So it's very
relevant.
Yeah. And complicated.
I can imagine, but I think that's stuff that can genuinely help people. Like, there's so many people that are going through currently what you went through.
Yeah. So I'll be all over the place, because that's how I talk. But one of the things that I learned was that you need to know who you want to be, I guess. What do you want to leave, right? Like these are classic catchphrases, right? But you still have to live them, right? So I truly believe that if you want to be somebody, you truly have to destroy the person that you are right now. You can't be now and then be that better person. You must change, and that means destroying the person you are now. It's not as bad as it sounds, but you have to. So when I came here to the States, I came because I felt like Mexico wasn't really meeting the needs that I needed, that I wanted to live. And that was very strict ways of living, very, very rigid upbringing. I'm from Zacatecas, a rural state. I come from a small town. I love it. But growing up there was, wasn't hard, but it was very different. And I wanted to have conversations that I wasn't allowed to have. No one was there to tell me, hey, be quiet. You just shunned, just like old school, right? So it's just it wasn't the style that I wanted. I came here, and then I met my ex-wife, and we were living young, and I won't say it was bad, but we focused on things that weren't everlasting. And we had our child Ian, an amazing, like I said, son. But yeah, it was difficult to lose the family that I had been taught in Mexico. Like, you grow up, you become a man, you suck it up, you raise a family, and you move on. So even though I came to the States, I ended up losing my family. That showed me that nothing's certain, I guess. Anyways, I became a divorced dad, a weekend dad, and I don't know. I don't know what I picked up along the way. I don't know how to explain it. I thought I had it, in my head, but a lot of emotions are coming.
Yeah.
But to get to the point, it helped me become a better dad, because he taught me that I had to love the people he loved, right? So I stopped being the dad I thought I was going to be, and I had to adapt to the dad that he needed me to be. And even though I wasn't physically there 24/7, I realized I'm your dad. I'm the only dad you're ever going to have. You might have a stepfather, you might have a different role. Eventually you have, important people, influential people, mentors and whatnot, but you only have one dad, right? Not father necessarily, but dad. And I wanted to be that. And I believe I was that, an M for that, Emmett for him. But I learned it along the way. Eventually, I met Lauren, my wife, and it's amazing how she taught me how to be a better dad. I was still lost. I was still trying to deal with being a weekend dad and survive in the States and in America and California and in Orange County. I mean, it's expensive, right? So I try to make everything work. And with Lauren, not only did she accept me being a single dad, but she really taught me to be a better father. She ended up being a teacher, so that kind of helped.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, she was able to guide me and say, look, he'll be your son forever, but sometimes you just got to give him his space. And I didn't come from that world. I didn't come from, oh, it's okay, speak your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she really helped me in that sense. Eventually we married, and now we have 2 boys, Mateo and Emilio. And that was a whole different situation for me. It's different when you have a mother and a father in the household. See, I didn't have that. So I was used to doing things a certain way.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to focus on still raising Ian and then raising these other 2. And yeah, I never saw anything negative about it. So maybe later we'll get into details, but I figured I'd share that.
Yeah.
Because that's what made me, dad right now and then dad later, and together, I think we have a great family. So
yeah, no, I think the backstory is important because that's again one of the things I love about being on this platform in the show is you don't know how someone was raised, right? Jordan and I had pretty similar upbringings in the sense of we've had both parents in the home. Our dads were both great examples to us. Our moms were very involved. Obviously, I love my parents. The values and the core values that they instilled at such a young age is still stuff that I carry with me today.
Yeah.
Right. And I know it sounds silly, but if that's what and that's what you were raised in, like my wife is the opposite. She didn't have a dad in the home. She had a mom that freaking worked her butt off to provide, and she had the village, right? Her uncles, her grandfather became basically her father. But it sounds so silly, but not really, it's not everyone grew up the way we did.
no.
And so things that we think are normal are normal.
Well, what's actually funny enough is that most people didn't grow up the way we did, and then, it's kind of weird to us. We were talking about that, when we had the episode with George, and he was saying we've referenced this a couple times. He was like, "Oh, you guys are making me want to be a better dad," and it was just us doing things that we normally did. And now I'm realizing that we actually had a very unique childhood.
Yeah.
In the fact that having two guys come together that had parents that were in the household and present and left good markers all throughout our life. At least now 90% of people I'm realized, or 80% maybe, or whatever, didn't have that actually. So it's cool, and I love the fact that you're not ruining our show at all. In fact, I love the fact that you're saying you grew up in Mexico. It's just a whole different culture, especially when you grew up. I mean, my grandma's from Guadalajara. She was born, I think, in my great grandmother, who she died at 102. I think but I remember her from my early years. Just that was a whole different culture. She was just a different woman. She was like a different breed. And she was little 4'10", and the entire neighborhood was scared of her, and she was terrifying but amazing. And then you come back to the States, and not only do you get to be a dad, you're a divorced dad, but you still get to show that you're a present dad during that divorce, and that you can still be a good dude, good dad in a non-traditional, not non-traditional, but after divorce. That's, you can still be a great dad, still be a big part of their lives. And then now you have your other boys that you're raising. I love it. You're hitting so many different points. I'm excited to hear the rest.
Yeah, thanks.
Hear what comes from it all.
Yeah, thank you. It is, going back to the Mexico part, I mentioned that because, I did have my father. I still do. Very lucky. He's 88, but, he's doing very well. And he was the different dad. He was the good dad. I shouldn't say good dad. I apologize. My grandparents, they had to survive. So I don't think that they grew up raising children to be happy and playful and be whatever you want. It was like, you're going to work the farm and you're going to help us survive. And it wasn't easy for them. But I think my father also left Mexico. And it turns out that he left for the same reasons. He wanted a different life, and it wasn't just money. You could live there. It was just the culture. I don't think he really enjoyed that part. And he lived it. I have an amazing dad. you know, it wasn't like, oh, he's the Disneyland dad. He was fair, you know, firm, fair. But at the end, you know, I have such an amazing, wonderful life because of him. But yeah, he was definitely a trailblazer, you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you speak English? I mean, Spanish when you moved to there?
Not really, no.
So you went opposite.
I went opposite.
Because
Yeah.
Guillermo, who was on, grew up in Mexico, came here as like a teenager, didn't speak English.
Wow.
Yeah, at 13, 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he had less than I did. I spoke a little Spanish because that's the only. I only spoke Spanish to my mom. My dad, my siblings, we all spoke English.
Okay.
So when I went to Mexico and I got thrown into school, I have no idea. And you know, kids are cruel everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But that was part of the fun. It's no biggie. But yes, I didn't speak it. I had to learn it out there.
Dang.
On the fly, baby. On the fly.
So how was it growing up? Because your parents, I think you said, started Burritos Las Palmas in Mexico.
Yes.
How was that? How was growing up in that atmosphere and having them, you know, having a restaurant or several restaurants? Like, what did you take away from that experience as well?
Yeah, the work ethic, right? The same thing that was instilled in him. I'm so lucky that I got to grow up in a family business. I didn't know I was lucky then. You know, I wanted to finish school and get out of class and then go hang out with my buddies. But that never existed for us. You left school and then you had to run to the shop because everybody was eventually going to go and hang out. So we had to be there to serve them. So I didn't have that after school life that everybody, you know, had, but that didn't matter. I still had fun. But yes, that was, but you know, I never felt it was a bad thing. I'm sure there was times that I wanted to go hang out, but it showed me to show up. And then there's other things in life. It's not all about the wins or not wins. It's not all about easy. You know, I think that's what he taught me, that you're not trying to make your life easy. You're just trying to make it fulfilling. It's not supposed to be easy. I don't believe that life's supposed to be easy. You know, I don't think parenting is supposed to be easy. It's hopefully fulfilling. And that's, at least for me, that's the point. You know, that's the goal.
Yeah.
So when I, growing up in Mexico, I at one point, I think my father must have felt a lot of pressure from the family that he had left, all the uncles, all the aunts, his parents. And I think he started to feel the pressure of us not being, you know, like the rest. You know, we're what they called pochos, right? Born in America, raised in America, but by first generation Mexicans. So pocho means spoiled. I don't know where they got that from, but we were spoiled, right? So we go back, and that really, that experience is amazing because we went from, you know, running water, electricity to not that.
Yeah.
Right. And I never noticed it, but it does show you, hey, you got to work. You know, it's not just watching TV. There wasn't any TV. So with that, they opened the business. That's what my dad wanted to do. He wanted to have a restaurant. So he ends up making tortillas and then the burritos, and we're all happy, you know. And he showed me the business, I guess. You know, if you grew up in a restaurant, restaurants are somewhat easy, but they're fulfilling. If you don't, like we said last time, don't get into the restaurant business. You know, it's not that glamorous. But we were lucky to work and show me the I guess the ropes. So you know, there's another good dad situation. You know, he could have easily just exploited us, right, and worked us, and then you're out. But no, he wanted us to be successful. He didn't want us to suffer like he did. But part of life is suffering. I think right now, it's not that we want things to be the way they are, but they have become what they are because things are so easy. There's no resistance. There's no growth. You know, so I'll bring in some of the good that I want to be. I want my kids to struggle a little bit, enough. So they understand, you know, why give them a life that's not real at home? You know, why send them off to college not know to do anything, right? Not know how to unclog a toilet. My son, he went up north, and he was the hero because he was able to unclog the toilet in the dorm. Now they call him Dad, I guess, because he could do these things that he learned at home. You know, hey, let's do this and that. I wish I could have showed my kids more. I'm sure my dad wished he could have showed me more, but it's the quality, right? Not the quantity. I eventually I taught myself to work on cars, and I assembled and disassembled, vehicles in my garage. My father never showed me that.
Yeah.
But he showed me that if you're going to start something, you're going to finish it. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it right. All these cool things that we take for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually they show up and I'm like, hey, thanks, Dad.
Yeah. It's not always the thing that your parent shows you. I think it's the mindset that they give you, because if they give you the right mindset of not giving up and of persevering and of pushing through difficult and pushing through that sticking point, then it's like, okay, well, great. You didn't show me how to work on a car, but you showed me what happens when I want to learn something and now I'm frustrated and I'm stuck, how to push past that. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, now I can figure it's so much more than that thing. Now it's like, that's a key to unlock a million doors. It's not just one open door. And I love that. I love that.
Going to Mexico a little bit, just they come back. And it's what made us. But my dad, he wasn't too strict, but he was strict enough. Like at one point I said, hey, Dad, everybody here is treated like a man, right? And I'm 15 years old. He's like, well, you're my son. They're not my kids. You're my son, so I only care about you. Well, I didn't like it, but you know what? He was right, and I want to do that be that for my kids. He also, I guess the embarrassment part actually works. So I was mischievous when I was younger, and I don't know, maybe the things I learned here and then I took them there, whatever. I was always getting into trouble. And my dad had enough. So he said, okay, from now on, if you're past curfew, I'm going to go get you. He did the very first time. I'm out hanging out with my buddies. It's past, 10 or 11. And there he is at the corner just looking at me. Oh, that was so embarrassing. So I said, okay, he got me. So the next time I'm like, he won't come out. No, he did. Like he kept his word until I just stopped disobeying. I'm like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That worked, man. That worked. I did that now. I did that with my young kids. You got to keep your word. So they trust you. So they believe in you. And it's not always easy.
No, but keeping your word is a lesson in itself. It's not, I don't think it was necessarily him in the act of literally going out and embarrassing you, but him showing up because he said he was going to. Like, look at, like, you're still, at 50 something years old, you're still holding on to that. Right. And I think, again, something that sounds so easy and cheesy, but being a man of your word, I think is lost in today's world. I genuinely think it is. And not for every single person, but I think as a culture and as a generation, like the younger generations, I genuinely think it's, slowly gone like down and down and down. I think people don't understand what true integrity and, your word is your word. Yeah. I wanted to ask you a question about you were 13 when you moved back to Mexico. Mm-hmm. When did you move back to the States?
Let's say I stayed at 22.
So from 13 to 22, that's arguably your probably most informative years, right? Like growing up. What was it like for you to come from Mexico back to the United States?
Pretty much the same thing. I still spoke English, but I didn't grow up here. So everything that was happening, I didn't understand.
Yeah.
At one point I remember kind of freezing because I didn't know how to ask for something. And then the cashier pointed down to the Hispanic cashier. Oh, I thought it was hilarious. Good lesson to learn.
Yeah.
I just froze. I wasn't used to speaking English. I don't know how to put it. When I came to the States, I just wanted to do the things I wanted to do, and I did them. So I didn't find anything difficult. The challenge was learning how to live here effectively. Like I didn't know about taxes. I didn't know about savings. I didn't know any of that. Like what they don't teach you anyways, right?
Yeah.
Which as a father, it's our job to teach, right? Which is what I do. But I didn't know any of that. I didn't know how to look for a job, ask for a job. But I could read. So I looked up the government website, not website, but book. And then I went and I asked for a job. I think it's called, what is it? Where you look for a job, unemployment?
Unemployment.
Yeah. Sorry, man. Yeah, no, it was all new to me. I remember I took a plane from Guadalajara into LAX, and I knew that we had lived off of the 10 freeway, and my aunt still lived there at the time. And I came from a small town, so I just figured I'd fly into LA and then eventually get to Baldwin Park.
Yeah.
25 miles later. That was kind of silly. Luckily, someone saw how green I was. Like, hey, man, I'll give you a ride, and I didn't get murdered. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I could imagine those challenges coming back though, like being born here, then going for your informative, growing, maturing, adolescent to early adult years to come back. I mean, dude, that's crazy, man.
Look, first of all, this is kind of strange for me. So
Yeah.
it feels funny.
The headphones?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
funky.
they feel
It's
weird.
good, but yeah. No, that was another lesson that my father, I guess he taught me, and maybe he wasn't aware, because he didn't grow up in the States. And when he lived here, he ended up owning 2 homes, so he worked and saved his money and was growing. So it wasn't like we were just visiting, but he taught me that if you want it, you got to go get it. So when I would ask him questions, he couldn't help me because he didn't grow up here. He didn't understand what I needed. But he taught me, okay, well, if you don't know, you got to go learn it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I'm successful now, if you could call it success.
You're successful, bro.
I don't know. I pay taxes. That's good. But yeah, that not being able to help, but at least support me. Say, look, son, I don't know, but this is what I could do.
Yeah.
And that support. So eventually I thought, yeah, I didn't have a plan to be a good dad, but everything that my dad did for me, I made sure that I did for my kids, and everything that he couldn't do for me, I also try to do. But yeah, it was strange coming to the States and realizing, well, I'm going to be here for a little bit. Well, I'll check out the rock and roll scene, and then I'll go back to Mexico. That's what I thought. But eventually I met Lauren, and here I am.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it because I'm a diehard American fan. But I mean, I think people don't fully grasp, if you have lived here your whole life, how genuinely blessed and lucky we are to live in the United States of America. And I say it also, that comes with good things and bad. It doesn't mean we're this like freaking perfect place. And I think that's the thing I hate the most about politics aside, like whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, I don't really freaking care. The extremes on both sides are just so annoying. And it's like, why can't we just realize that America is not perfect? We didn't invent things like racism. We didn't invent all this bad stuff, but yet people want to like get on a pedestal and be like, oh my gosh, America is awful. Like, go to another country, live there, experience it. Don't even live there. Just go visit it outside of being a tourist, and you'll genuinely realize, I think I might have been a little wrong. you know?
Yeah, it's like when we're kids and we lash out to our parents, when we're living the best life and all they want to do is love us, but we don't know any better.
Yeah.
Going to a different country, you realize, wow, yeah, now I know. Mexico and America is like, to me, it's like a mom and a dad. I can't choose.
Yeah.
I can't choose who's better. But yeah, my parents, they're big USA fans. They love, and so do I. I shouldn't make it seem like I don't. But yeah, my mom always talks about how she thanks the States for making my dad a little more docile. Because I'm sure he wasn't like the good dad that he became. The culture in Mexico back then was really tough. It's not that way anymore, but it was tough back then.
I could imagine.
I'm sure it helped forge him, because he did something similar to you, right? Except the only difference is, instead of starting his business here, he amassed the income he needed to go back and start a business, but he still had those pain points, those sticking points, those learning process. Sounds like you had an amazing dad in the sense that he really instilled amazing attributes in you that served you well later in life.
Yeah.
So was the plan for like when he had the restaurant and they were he's teaching you the
ropes,
the ins and outs, the ropes. Did he hope you would take it over one day? Did they hope that you would start something one day? What was kind of the plan with that?
I guess so. So we're 4 boys, 2 girls. We're 6. Well, 2 past. We would have been 8. But I have an older brother, best older brother you could ever ask for. It's like the royalty thing. He was gonna At least in Mexico, still, you're the eldest. That's it.
Yeah.
It's all you, baby, and we're just poo poo, and that's okay. You make your own bones. But so no, I was never gonna inherit anything or become anything. But he didn't stop being a dad. He knew that eventually I'd have to go do my own, and that's what it was. So I think he was just helping us or raising us to be independent and what's the term, self-sufficient, I guess you could say. And he did. He really taught us all of those. Not tricks, but what do you call them? The lessons.
The lessons, yeah.
Yeah. The tools. He gave us the tools. Now, I'm excited to talk about my dad.
Yeah.
He's an amazing man. Not perfect. I'm not perfect.
No one is.
We have some good laughs. But he was able to tell me things that, that he wanted to hear from his dad.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, that makes me another lucky, person that he wanted to be hugged by his dad. My grandfather was, no hugs.
Yeah.
I don't even know how he made kids. It's really strange. But he was very religious. My dad grew up in a very, very hardcore religious family environment. And luckily for me, he backed off. So with all due respect to those who are religious, I am not. And that, I think, is also very important to talk about in this kind of situation where Lauren and I didn't raise our kids with a community, like a church community. And that's not as easy as it seems, because at least in South County, there's a strong community of church, and we weren't part of that. So you are on your own.
Yeah,
you are on your own when it comes to that. Also, with all due respect, again, I couldn't defer any of my parenting or my responsibilities to a higher being. Okay, so if ever you could say, well, God has a plan, I couldn't say that to my kids.
Yeah.
I couldn't defer every single second of our lives to something else. And I'm not saying that it's that's what people do, to cheat. That's not the case. But it does matter. It does make a difference.
Well, within religion too, that like, Christianity and stuff like that, there comes with it a set of, I want to say, like almost standards that everyone believes, right? You have the, it comes with a kind of a set of standards, a set of beliefs, the 10 Commandments, these kind of things that you get taught early on, that, it just, as a parent, it's easy to go, hey, this is what I was taught. These are the kind of the framework that we live within. This is, more or less how to be a good person.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't mean this in an ignorant sense. I'm asking. So if you don't have that, you're not raising your children within a Christian household or anything like that, or within religion, then how did you create that framework around being a good human and passing that on to your sons?
Yeah. Again, if we talk about America, I think America is a great country. It's based on great morals and ethics. So it's all around us, So that's a tough question to answer. I don't know how to answer it. But if I want to be a good person, I have to understand what a good person is, right? And I think that's something that Lauren and I understood, and we instilled that.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm agnostic. I don't, believe or confirm or deny. But it is good. It is good to be able to say, hey, you know what? There might be something bigger than us. And that helps. But that doesn't really answer the question. I just... it's going to be hard to be able to say what made me a moral person.
Yeah.
For the record, I did go to Catholic school.
Well, you were growing up in Mexico. You had to. Not had to, but you know what I mean. I think Jordan's question into point, though, is, and you don't have to answer it.
I don't want to, but
it's a...
I feel like it's kind of a silly question, because obviously you had a good representation because you had a great, father, and he instilled a set of values within you. So it's, you can pass those values down. I just...
Yeah, it's not a silly question, and it's not there's not, I don't think, a right or wrong. I think it's more of it's you guys figured out what it is to be a good person, and you
I guess so.
laid the foundation to get there.
Yeah, let me email you that answer.
That's
Let me-
okay.
Yeah, no, but no,
Because that's something that we could read one day.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very valuable. Because Jordan and I are both, believers of God.
Yeah.
And I gain a lot of who I am and the way I am and my decision making and my processes and what I hold valuable is because I have chosen to believe that there is a God, and this is the book that I say I live by, right? Mm-hmm. And I think what separates a lot of religion, not just Christians or Catholics or Muslims, whatever you are the people that say they believe and don't do,
right?
And the people that do believe and do. Mm-hmm. I think whether you're one or the other, you have faith, you don't, you got to at least practice what you preach in all forms, right?
Correct.
And so for you, like, it doesn't mean, because I know we have listeners that are either like atheists or agnostic or don't believe or the opposite, right? Mm. And it doesn't, I don't think it's a silly question.
No, it's a great question.
Because it doesn't mean that you're not. I know crap Christians.
Yeah,
and I know,
we all do.
I know, yeah, I know amazing, people that are hardcore atheists, and it's like they're better than most Christians I know. It's that's what I was saying. It's not like you just, I don't know. No, maybe not.
Let's just say that I had this instilled as a child. Right?
Yeah.
My parents are Catholic, and my siblings are Catholic, and so I was raised by the village, right? And I instilled that into my children. So maybe that's a question they can answer down the line.
Yeah.
And if they have children, then those, I don't know, maybe they will become.
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic thing to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because your parents that instilled it to you, they got some of it from their faith.
Yes.
Right? Maybe they got some of it. And we all have put things together too that made us who we are by taking the good and the bad from our parents or from our grandparents or our aunts and uncles. Yeah. But it is an interesting question because whether you have faith or not, faith has been around arguably since existence.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people derive at being good by these principles.
Faith and religion being at times separate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, religion is man-made, right? Your faith is believing in something. Like, I believe that you are my friend.
Right.
Like, we made this friendship, right? Or I have faith that this stupid camera that we've been having issues with is going to work, Religion, and I think this is where a lot of people get it twisted, and like George has talked about it with us, like, there's a lot of crap religious people that are assholes and, ruin and tarnish and destroy the very thing that they say that they believe. And then on the flip side of that, you can have somebody that doesn't care about any of that be a fantastic human, like you said, Jordan. But I think the biggest thing is just like, practice what you preach, man.
Yes.
Don't freaking stand on a dang pedestal and tell people they're going to hell and you're freaking doing nothing better, But I want to kind of circle back because I don't want us to get too off topic, but how much, or share what you're willing to share. But one of the things we really want our listeners and people that follow us to get is, dude, you've built, whoever defines success, that's one thing, but you have arguably built a very successful business here in the States. And you did it in a pretty short amount of time, if in the sense of time. Can you kind of just speak to how you were able to accomplish that goal while still being a dad? I think that's valuable.
Yeah. Like Lauren likes to say, there's a few birthday cakes in the back of the house, raising kids in the business. Of course, from what I learned from my dad, it's a balance that on one of your episodes, I think the idea was that there's no balance, or you have to always try to balance. Yeah, you're right. There is really no balance, right? There's no perfect, but we always strive for that. So the balance is communication, at least for me. When Lauren and I decided we wanted to start a family, add to the one that we already have, we knew that economically it wasn't viable, right? So we had to make a decision, and that decision was that I would stay home for the first, I think, couple of years. And being that she was a young teacher, a new teacher, at least she had the insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. And like, okay, so we put together whatever we could. I made ends meet, and I was a stay-at-home dad. When we decided to do the restaurant, it wasn't like I had been able to amass all this money, right? But if you look and look and look, eventually you will find what you're looking for, right? But you have to have the intent. You know, it's like a lot of people are looking for a job, not really hoping not to find one, right? That's true for anything. And I knew that eventually I'd find something. It just happened to be over 50 miles away from my house, right? But I knew that that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
And by then the children the young ones were like 7, 5. Ian by then was 15. So still a lot of time that I needed to spend with them. But again, having been a divorced father, I knew that it was more about quality than quantity. That had been proven. So that's the principle I applied. I would be, as some of you guys say, I would be present. You know, when I was there, I was there. And then when I wasn't, I was trying to make sure that I built something to bring them the quality of life. So it was never, I wasn't building it for a vacation or, you know, a bigger house or a nicer car. It was just something that we could eventually have and I could pass on to my kids if they wanted to. And that's how I was able to, you know, be away for so long.
Yeah.
But nothing's forever. You know, I remember day and night for, let's say, 2 months. So 60 to 90 days, you don't really see your kids. But what's that in the 36 years that, you know, that they've been living? It's nothing. But I made sure that they knew I was there, and that I was still somebody that they could rely on. I wasn't absent. And then from there, I was able to kind of keep my promise of, okay, I'm going to invest this time and effort, and then eventually, whether it works or not, I'm going to get to my kids.
Yeah.
Because I do love them. I want them, right? And I don't want to be that absent dad. And I did that. So, you know, camping became a big part of our lives, which, geez, you know, not really exciting if you're a little kid. Like, hey, man, I thought you worked so you could take me to Hawaii. Like, no, we're going camping. But yeah, it worked out great.
Yeah, I mean, and dude, like how old are your youngest now?
21, 23, and then, 36.
I say 30, because I remember you have your oldest son is like around my age. But if you think about like on a scale of time, again, from 20, when did you officially start BLP here?
2012.
So 2012 to 2025, 13 years. You went from, you know, a single, it was just the truck, right? Or
technically I started the brick and mortar in El Monte.
Oh, you did start that first, technically.
And then when we met, I opened up Orange County Market with a truck.
Okay.
So that's why I don't correct, which is something my father taught me, and I enjoy that same thing.
Yeah.
If there's no need to stop the flow of the conversation,
Yeah.
I don't. So yeah.
So yeah, okay. So 13 years, brick and mortar El Monte, then the truck here. And now since then you have how many locations?
Six. And then behind the scenes, which is kind of exciting, is the tortilla business.
Yeah.
And that one's growing great.
You got to like humbly brag about it first.
I know you.
And I want you to, and I know it's hard for you because Alberto doesn't like talking about himself.
Yeah,
like you
I
would
can see that.
You would never know that you do all the things you do. You have all these awesome accolades. You have all these things, but I think that's what makes you such a rad dude. Is, you know, you don't know it.
Yeah.
The dudes that flaunt it, you're like, bro.
Yeah, I heard a lot from Ben before I actually met you, and he's like, every time you tell me, he's like, yeah, but he'll never tell you about any of it. So I have to tell you now, so that when you see him, you understand. And
well, even George was bragging
fascinating.
about you.
Yeah,
too.
George too. I mean,
George's a good guy.
yeah. Yeah, brag a little bit. I want to
No,
Like, talk about what you've accomplished, dude. It's a big accomplishment.
I guess what I have to take, because you're right. My sister Gloria would scold me for not, accepting what I've done.
Yeah.
I think because it's a family business, that it's a legacy name or brand or operation. I can't take credit for it, right?
Yeah.
But I was part of it, the growth. Like in Mexico when we started, my older brother, he when we moved to Mexico, I think he was 17. So he wanted to finish high school. He was about to start a senior. So he was in Mexico for a few months, I think. And then he came back to finish his senior year in high school. During that time, we had just started the tortilla business. And then, to his recollection, he came back. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that when we started selling burritos, he wasn't there. So I was the guy, right?
Yeah.
And that was fun. So I can say that I started with my dad and my mom that. And because of that, I don't want to claim it as mine. I was just able to be lucky here.
Yeah. Well, you can claim the United States as yours.
Yes, 100%. But it's still,
You took their business model here and then reapplied
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, but you applied it in, again, arguably one of the hardest places to do business.
I think you're the one that told me that.
Like-
That's an amazing. I hadn't thought about it. This is the most competitive market in the world for Mexican food.
Oh, 100%.
L.A.,
Yeah.
LA,
Orange County,
San
Because we
Diego.
have real Mexican food.
Yeah.
everywhere.
It's
Yeah.
not Tex-Mex.
It's not Tex-Mex.
It's
Yeah.
real, authentic Mexican food everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
That's
right
where
down the street right here.
Yeah,
or
literally
anywhere.
all my buddies, that's their complaint. If they've moved out of states, they're like, "There's no real Mexican food here." I'm like, "Yeah, that's because this is it." And not only that, we have one of the largest economies in the world.
Yeah.
In this area between Orange County and LA. So, yeah, competitive market.
Yeah. So what I did is the principles that my father instilled, the ones he believed in. I thought it was pretty cool back then, and I really enjoy living them now. But he said, "Look, I want to serve what I want to eat. I want to serve what I would buy." And eventually things started to cost more, and it's like, hey, we should pivot to something else. He's like, no, people will always pay for quality. And at one point he did say, okay, son, we're not seeing eye to eye. I think it's time for you to move on.
Okay.
He had sent me to business school. I went to school in Mexico, and I came back with all these ideas and how to scale and economize and do all this. What he didn't want to do. He's like, no, I'm really happy doing the things I'm doing. This is what I believe in. I said, yeah, but we could make more, we could grow more. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And I get it now. I really do. At that time, I didn't. I didn't have the pressure of having built that. Like what he did is amazing, like beyond amazing. He goes to a country that he came from, but he doesn't understand the economy, how it worked. He had been here for almost 20 years. So when he goes back, he's also a stranger in his own land and trying to make it in again, perhaps a competitive market as well, right?
Yeah.
These tortillas, right? And then food. But that's what he wanted to do. And he was able to do it, I think, because he stood,
on his principle.
On his principle of, I want to serve what I want to buy. And that's what I decided to do here. So my idea was not to grow to the point where we are now, and not to have the possibilities that we have now, but to be proud of what you do. Right? Again, all these little things I wanted to instill in my kids, and I think I did. So as we're growing the restaurant, Lauren on the weekends would always bring him over, and they would be hanging out. And I think they enjoyed it, but then eventually, they went to the park. But all those little things that my father taught me, I'm teaching them. So that's how I could say that, yes, in America I did.
Yeah.
I brought what my parents did.
Yeah. Well, so in 2016, when you had the truck here in Orange County, did you think, and I hate this question when people ask it, so I'm going to ask it anyways, but did you think BOP would be what it is today?
No, not at all. No, not at all. It's funny to drive by a little spot and not desire it. Before I had El Monte, Lauren and I were always looking for little places, and we would say, wow, if we could only have this one place, that's all I want. And I'm sure we achieved it, right? So when we got El Monte, that was it. It was awesome. That's all I needed. But we got lucky with the LA food scene, Jonathan Gold, these other food critics, oh man, Bill Esparza, eventually Gustavo Arellano, they all started to blow us up.
Yeah.
And then that's how we grew here in America. So no, the plan was not to grow. It wasn't like other concepts who that's the deal. Right?
Yeah.
They're scalable and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know if that answered that one.
No, it does.
That might have been what invited the growth, is that in an attempt or in a without focusing on it, you just were focusing on making that location everything it could be, where so many other people are focused on, oh, well, I need to grow to the point where it's like, well, why don't you make what you have fantastic, and then it's easier to grow. Where it's, I think maybe you took the other approach where you're like, I'm just going to make this the best possible thing I can be, which then invited growth because of that. I don't know, maybe.
No, it's you could say this by chance at times. When we initially were going to start, I was going to have to buy the tortillas, right? And then it was my mom who said, "You can't make a burrito without our recipe, our tortilla." So I had to find and invest in the machine and double my work, load and whatnot. But yeah, that made all the difference.
Yeah, well, dude, you're like, I mean, your burritos are fantastic.
Thank you.
I personally think what makes them so fantastic is the tortilla itself. Dude, when we would get the tortillas for our breakfast burritos, I would literally just freaking eat the tortillas. It was a problem. Honestly, it was literally a problem. Yeah. I'd be like hungry and I'm like at the shop and I'm like, oh, we have tortillas right now. I would literally just warm them up in the microwave, maybe slap some butter on it, whatever,
Yeah.
But I would just eat these tortillas. But that to me is what really separated your food and your style, the uniqueness. It's not this freaking super, and if you do this, I apologize, I'm not ragging on you, but like a super fat Americanized burrito, like I don't want a pound burrito. I don't want to freaking have to like take a nap after every single time I eat a burrito. Your food's not like that. But I think what's another really cool thing for you, man, is for people that don't know his brand, he's created so many different not that it all matters, but since we're speaking business, like to me as a business owner, Alberto, you've been able to create such a cool stream of revenues. So, you, like he said, he makes all his own tortillas, which means he distributes his tortillas to other people. You have your brick and mortar locations where you can go in and just buy and eat. And you have a frozen burrito line now.
Yep.
And you're in a place that's really difficult to get into. And you're doing all these things. You've been written up by the Michelin Guide how many times?
4 times, I think, or 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5 times being written up by the Michelin Guide for burritos.
Yeah.
Like, again, dude, the things that you've been able to accomplish is not something to shy away from.
Yeah.
You should be proud of it.
I am.
And I know I'm like making you uncomfortable right now, but dude, I think it's fantastic. And I think, again, what makes it so fantastic is the fact that you would never know.
Maybe that's part of being a dad, just to bring you back to the dad. We can talk about the good stuff too. But yeah, you do all this work because you want the best, right? And that's what being a dad is. Not looking for the, good job, dad. It's constant.
Yeah, you're doing what you got to do.
But it's fulfilling, and that's what I mentioned earlier. That's the goal for me. It's not to make it easy, but to make it fulfilling.
Yeah.
And that's
I like it. Literally, we just put a post out yesterday. It's like, here's to the dads that are doing the things that need to be done day in and day out, not expecting the praise or the glory or the pat on the back, but just doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like that's part of being a dad sometimes, and being a good man is just doing the things that you need to do, not expecting the praise, not needing it. Is it nice to get it every once in a while? Yeah, of course it is, but not needing it, knowing that it's the right thing to do and just doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to ask you a question that we ask every guest, because I want to try to get us wrapped up pretty soon. But
I don't know how long we've
what
been.
do you, Mr. Alberto, what makes a good dude and a good dad?
Be an honest person, be a good person. And we all know what that is. We all know what a good person is. And be that. That's a good dude. To be a good dad, you take that good person, and then you want your child to be successful and to be independent and to be strong and to be a good citizen, right? And again, it was hard to answer the question earlier, but that's what a good person does, is instills those values into in this case, the daughter, sorry. I don't have any daughters. So
Yeah.
yeah. Which would be pretty cool. I think it'd be cool, but I think I'd be a really bad girl dad.
Nah,
I
you
would
wouldn't.
be
They would wreck
spoiled
you.
rotten.
Yeah, they would wreck
That's
you.
not good, and that's not good. But yeah, I think that's what makes a good dad. That there's a lot of things a lot of catchphrases, but I don't know if I go with all of them. Maybe it's changing. The times are changing, but I believe that if you want to be a friend, that's a big mistake. I don't want to be my child's friend, and I've told them I'm not your friend. I'm your dad, and that's like tenfold.
Yeah.
The only one dad. Do I want to be supportive? Yes. Do I want to be honest? Yes. They have to know that at least there's one person in the world that will tell them the truth, that will stand by their side, and so I think that's a good dad. Is the person who ends up being beyond a friend and just an open, honest, person that they could that they want to be around.
Yeah.
That they want to be around. I get excited when my son calls me and says, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" or whatever. I mean, that's pretty cool that my son wants to hang out with me. Of course, I want to hang out with him. But it's awesome that they want to be around me. We worked hard to get that, and it was painful. Telling your kids what they don't want to hear. Not letting them do the things that are detrimental, but they're not aware of. Understanding that, like in my case, I have boys. They don't know any better. They don't, and it's my job to be patient, nurturing, and take it on the chin every once in a while. They're my kids. It's like the Cubs. They're gonna scratch me. Big deal.
So being firm and affirming is I think what I'm getting from that.
Yeah. I want them to be gentlemen. That's one of the great things that I was taught in Mexico. I'm sure I would have learned it here, but I grew up in Mexico. I believe in these roles. This is where I ruin your show, I guess, but I do believe in a gentleman.
Yeah.
And if you instill that into your kids, either you have a daughter, let her grow up to be a lady.
Mm-hmm.
You have a son, let him grow up to be a gentleman. I think that's huge. It just allows everybody to understand that life's good.
Yeah, we firmly believe that too.
Oh,
so
100%.
We firmly believe that.
Yeah.
My son's better open the damn door. For people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you will be polite, and you will say please and thank you.
Yeah.
And you will look someone in the eyes. You will shake their hand.
Firm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have social media, which we didn't have when I was growing up, let alone my parents. So you didn't have all this, I guess, information, because it's not real knowledge. It's definitely not wisdom.
No.
You get all these things that sound right, but they don't really translate to the real world.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, that as a parent, you have to accept that you are competing with the rest of the world. You're competing with the TV. You're competing with the phone. You're competing with the friends, everything. You signed up for that, buddy.
Yep.
I hope you did.
Yeah.
I did. I hope you did. But yeah, teaching them through either action or words, to love the spouse, you show them respect. My parents, I never heard them yell at each other. Never. Now, I'm sure they probably did, but they
not
were
in front of you.
They were conscious enough not to do it in front of us.
That's fantastic.
And that mattered.
Yeah.
Because now, when I have, my life with Lauren, I look forward to that peace and respect. And I think that translates. So that's what we gave to our kids as well. I
love that, man. Dude, thank you so much for spending the time with us. And again, guys, like if you're not in the area, you'd never heard of him, like I'm going to brag one more time and we're going to wrap it up. But like you've been able to accomplish a lot, and you did it a little bit later in life. So if you're in a place right now and you're listening to this and you're, later in your life, if you're like my current age, 37, like it's never too late to start anything. I think, from your story and what I'm going to kind of summarize, and Jordan can add to this, but don't be afraid to take chances. Utilize who you are as an individual and what made you who you are, and apply all these things to your business or to your career or to if you're a stay-at-home dad, apply it to being a stay-at-home dad. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think the things that matter is just really stand on what you actually believe and actually stand on it. Don't freaking teeter-totter 24/7.
100%.
But
Yeah.
So many golden nuggets. Thank you. You did not
ruin
you
the
did
show.
not ruin the show. You did not disappoint. There was
People are
so
changing
many.
the channel somewhere else now.
Yeah, right. No way.
No, I loved the fact that we talked about that it's not just the things that you show your kids, but what you instill in them. And I saw, you talked about how your dad did that with you and how you're starting to do that with your sons. We didn't even get to hit.
We didn't hit a lot of stuff.
We got to have you back because there's so many. There's so many questions I have, so many stories I want to hear. But that was so packed full of memorable gold nuggets that it was fantastic. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
And what's the Instagram?
Burritos La Palma.
That's it, right? It's just that.
Yeah, or hashtag Burritos
The
La
at.
Palma.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
I got you.
Hey, see?
I got you.
I didn't say ampersand. Oh, no, that's the
The other thing.
and.
Do you have anything else before we?
No? I just, you're right. I wish I could. There's so much to say.
Yeah. No, we're going
But
to have you come back if you're down.
No, I'd love to. When I went back there, it's emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we wanted to kind of, I think both of us wanted to pull some more of that out, but I think
I'll
what's
try
important
it.
for today is literally just what we want people to hear is it doesn't matter where you came from, where you started, where you're like, it's just about continuing the journey, pressing forward, moving forward, if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Which you said, you have to figure out what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're cool being stuck or you're cool being whatever, then you're going to stay there.
Yeah.
If you're not cool with it, you need some form of tension to like freaking push you to want to change,
Yeah.
right? And so I think just this was a great starting episode to have with you because I think you need to come back and share more on those principles.
Well,
and
not only that is that it looks in like a business aspect, it almost looks like you were an overnight success, but it's clear that it started when you were 13.
Yeah.
And it's like all that build up to that point is, oh man, I know there's so much in there.
yeah,
I'm
we're going to
excited.
do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right,
I'd
my
love
friend.
to.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Jordan.
Thank you again. Follow us, share, subscribe. You can find us at Good Dude, Good Dad, and go check out his burritos because they're fantastic. Remember, be a good dude, be a good dad.